Before we get started, I want to give you a little background. The audience is teachers or trainers of teachers. The first session, we discussed a PLC overview, PLC at work. The second session, we addressed critical question number 1, a viable curriculum. The third session, we discussed critical question number 2, informative assessments. The fourth session, we went over what we do when students don't learn it, response to intervention, critical question number 3. And this is the 5th session of 6 sessions where we address critical question number 4. The 6th session will tie everything together and also discuss continuous improvement.
Thank you guys. I'm so excited to see you back. It's so nice. This is our 5th session together. I see some new faces. So I wanted to get started with a little bit of a review so that way we can all get on the same page. Our learning outcomes for this session are to determine our current reality on applying the 4 critical questions, to define critical question number 4, and then to create opportunities for critical question number 4 to address all learners. Okay, when you came in today, I'm sure that you noticed that on the walls we have 4 different anchor charts across the room. We're going to do 4 corners. So basically I'm going to number you guys off, and you're going to go to the number of the critical question that you're writing about. And you're going to write just key points. And I'll set a timer, and then we will rotate. So let's go ahead and just start numbering off.
1, 2.
I loved walking around and hearing what you guys had to say. It seemed like you have a really strong grasp of question 1, 2, and 3. Today, our entire purpose is to talk about critical question number 4. So critical question number 4 is about what will we do when the students already know it, but it's about going deeper and wider with the target, with the learning target. So we'll have a lot of opportunities today to talk about different learning targets and how we can go deeper and wider with that learning target. So that means we can either extend the lesson and enrich it, or go deeper, but we're going to vertically align along the way. But we can talk about that further. Okay, some of the challenges, I'm so glad that I'm able to talk to you guys and send you guys different materials in between our sessions. So one of the things that I sent you was the blog from Mark Weichel about addressing critical question number 4. And in that blog that I sent you guys before this session, he talks about the different challenges with critical question number 4. And one of those is time. We know that with collaborative team time, you don't have a lot of time to address your extended learners or your learners that have already mastered the material. So our priorities are obviously our students who need intervention, who aren't learning it. And then also know-how. He talks about how some teachers don't know how to go deeper and wider with the learning target. I was so excited to get some of your data. It seems like your tier 1 and tier 2 interventions from our last session are really working. So it seems like we're making a lot of progress and strides toward closing the gaps with our students. So I'm so proud of you guys for doing that. And we will have some activities with critical question number 4 that I'll get to look at for our next session as well. So keep the good work up. It seems like you guys are doing a great job at ensuring that whatever we learn in these sessions, that you apply them and then bring them back to our next session. In the blog that I sent you, one of the quotes that really stood out to me was this quote from Mark Weichel. Does anyone want to read it? Okay, go ahead.
When thinking of personalized learning as a way of thinking through this question, it requires a little different mindset, or what we call reframing. This reframing allows teams to develop strategies that will address all learners, not just those who already know it.
Are there any words here that really just stand out to you? Like I said, this is a quote that when I was reading that blog, that it really just spoke to me. Are there any words here that stand out to you guys? Reframing. And that one right here, reframing right here. So I really want you guys, I know that you have the blog in front of you with the handout, and you should just highlight reframing. For me, this is huge. It's really just a mindset shift, because when we think about critical question number 4, I heard you guys when we were talking about it and when you were going around on the round robin, the 4-corner exercise, a lot of teachers brought up GT students. And some of the activities that we do, like Genius Hour, some of the enrichment field trips that we have, or even the extension activities that you have in the classroom, automatically we think GT students. But really, if we were to think about how can all learners gain from this, then we're reframing our thinking. And so I'm so glad that that word stood out to you guys too. And I wanted to share that quote from the blog so that you could see how powerful it really is. And if we look at critical question number 4 this way, then we really won't dread getting to it. We don't have to 1, 2, and 3 are something that's natural for us, but we can start integrating critical question number 4 more often and for all of our learners. Okay. So now you have this on your handout, and I would like you to pull it up too. I want to create a resource guide for us, and the reason why I have it on your handout is so you can refer back to it. Often we'll have an anchor chart up, and I want you to be able to refer back to the ideas that we come up with. So I'm going to pull up this Padlet. So what you're going to do is add ideas under each question. So if you look here, we have, how can we make extension part of our collaborative team time? When I was meeting with you guys in the first session, we were talking about prioritizing our time and making sure that we have collaborative team time weekly. And that's something that you've been able to do, and I can tell that you've kept up with in our second and third and fourth session, because you've referred back to conversations that you've had. How can we ensure that collaborative team time, we are prioritizing question number 4? What are some extension enrichment opportunities that we can look at school-wide for all students? How can we make question 4 part of our daily routine? And then what are some resources and people that we can utilize? Because I want you to be able to go back after this, because we can have wonderful, engaging conversations, but now you have this Padlet that you can refer back to once you have a learning target that you need help with. You know who to reach out to, and you know which ideas that we came up with today. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to fill that out, and I'll be walking around and kind of just hearing your ideas. You can definitely talk to your shoulder partner about it before you put it up as well. All right, awesome. I love walking around. I love the discussions that came up. Here are some ideas that I think were really great and I wanted to touch on. One of the things that y'all talked about school-wide are looking at your field trips, your enrichment opportunities. I heard Ms. Lola over here talking about in her classroom that students often they have the experience where they get to read the Reader's Theater, but they don't have the experience where they get to go see the play and actually make that enrichment connection. So thank you so much for sharing that. So as you're planning your school-wide field trips, that's something to think about is enrichment. So that's taking that learning target and making it definitely wider. You're extending and enriching their opportunities. Something here that I think is very long-lasting too is what resources people can utilize. Here at the school, it seems as if you could use your academic specialist and also refer to the GT department or GT teachers. I know that we associate extension with GT teachers, but they can be resources for our general education teachers and help them as they are extending in their collaborative team time or coming up with extensions. How can we make extensions part of our collaborative team time? Definitely prioritizing, that was very good, Ms. Martinez, prioritizing extension and making sure that we hit it by putting it in your collaborative team time agenda. You guys have been very good about following those agendas. I saw them after our first session when we were talking about an overview of PLC at work. That we're developing agendas for your collaborative team time. And so you stick to those. If you have a question in there about extension and addressing it, you will hit it. And you'll ensure that you are holding yourselves accountable for extending and enriching with your students. So great. Okay, so I want to give you guys an opportunity to practice going deeper and wider. I know this is an elementary school and you guys have pre-K through 5th grade, so I chose a grade level in the middle. This is a learning target that says I can explain the relationship between major and minor characters. So just talk with your ELVA partner real quick, and then we'll just popcorn out some ideas of ways we can go deeper and wider with this learning target. So if you want to take a minute, y'all can talk and come up with some ideas, and then we'll just popcorn out some 1 to 2 extensions or enrichment activities that we can address this learning target. Okay, awesome. These were very great discussions. I really like the conversation that you were having over here. Ms. Martinez, you talked about how you like to look at the vertical alignment document from lead forward, and you look at 4th and 5th grade once they've mastered this 3rd grade target. And in 4th grade, they would actually look at the major and minor characters and the changes they undergo. So it's a way to definitely go deeper with that standard. So that's addressing critical question number 4. I know that you were talking to Ms. Laura Vial right here, who is your partner on the team who has GT, and she says she even takes it 2 grade levels above. And they actually talk about conflict and address conflict. So they're not only talking about the major and minor characters, they're going deeper with that standard by talking about conflict and the changes they undergo. So that's 4th and 5th grade. And Ms. Lawler mentioned, that's fantastic, because Ms. Lawler was talking about how her students aren't ready to look at that vertical alignment document, but she does go wider with it. And she has them write about the major and minor characters. Even though they're able to explain it, she incorporates that writing piece. And that is taking that learning target wider, extending it across curriculum and across writing. So that's great. All of them very great ideas. So your homework for next time and for our next session would be to look at in your collaborative team time, look at a learning target for your grade level. I know that you teach 1st grade and you teach 5th grade. So look at your standards and come up with 1 to 2 extensions, and you can send that to me beforehand, and we'll definitely look over it in our next session before moving on to session number 6, so we can address the extensions and make sure that we are incorporating these in our collaborative team time. So great. Okay, so here are some resources that you can use to support your learning. That's something that I will add to the Padlet too, so that it's on your handout. But these are definitely some resources you can refer back to. There are some concrete ideas in there if you kind of just run out of, and it's that know-how. If you've run out of ideas on how to extend, you can find some ideas here. Here's enriching, and then these 2 address extension when they already know it. So here are the learning outcomes for our session that I was asked to do. Determine our current reality on applying the 4 critical questions. Define critical question 4. Create opportunities for critical question 4 to address all learners. But I will stay up here for a little bit, and I have, you guys can see my anchor chart over here. I'll go stand by it in a little bit. But I wanted to ask you if there's anything that I could do to help you make this experience more meaningful. These were the targets that we were asked to do, but if you have something that I can help you with to make this experience more meaningful, please let me know. So I'll stand back here in a little bit to address those. And then if you have any questions, or if you can't think of anything right now, but later you have questions, feel free to write me, and I'll see you guys next session. Thank you so much.